Bigby Wolf is a complex character. A former villain of multiple children's stories, now he seems to have cleaned up his act and works as the sheriff of Fabletown and wants to be better. But what are the parts that make him whole? We know that behind everything, he is the big bad wolf, and when he's in danger, he becomes closer to being that side all the time. But the man shows remarkable restraint and a natural knack for solving crimes, which means he's on a higher level of intuition.
You cut your hand? You told me before that you cut your foot.
Yeah, no, I did cut my hand. I cut my hand first, and that made me drop the damn thing on my foot.
His interactions with other fables is extremely important, from interactions with those that are by default human, and those that have to work much harder to hide their true selves.
Give her the kind of life she deserves.
We shouldn't have to live like this, scraping to get by.
None of us should. We were royalty once.
This is such a terrible contrast because he is much larger and much farther away from being human than most of the other fables we come across. First, let's look at the occupation he has been tasked with. He is the sheriff of Fabletown, a position that puts him as the aspect of justice in between all of the fables. So he is the mediator between the higher-ups in the council and the lower fables in their more shady parts of the world. So he is somebody who will be naturally torn between two worlds, while simultaneously not being able to fully exist in one or the other. So the wolf will ultimately end up having to be the decision maker. He will have to make calls that other people can't because no one else shares this in-between position.
Do you even know how much a glamour costs?
I've never had to buy
The
one.
biggest perk he receives from his job is never having to pay for glamour. This is such a subtle part of his character because most of his job duties involves fables and their inabilities to glamour themselves. However, he has no frame of reference what it's like to have to work for it, or any idea how much the object should be worth, but he is completely reliant on this aspect, and it only serves to distance him more from those that aren't in the city council, while also being that subtle reminder to the city council that this person is not like us at all.
I'm looking at a 3-foot toad in a sweater. That's a problem.
His morality is of a completely different nature to a normal man's as well. This is somebody who is walking around as what his dinner used to be. At any point in time, Bigby is regularly capable of either turning into his true wolf form of a towering and indomitable nature, or to that of a werewolf form, which still is able to handily dispose of many other monstrosities with ease. This is a shared fact among those who live in the woodlands, and it creates this tension in whatever environment he is in.
So are we? Why should Mary get all the fun?
Those that seek to exploit his restraint as being a representative of the woodlands can be quickly reminded that Bigby holds his own leash. But regardless of the obvious intimidation ploy he could use at any time, he has the capability to be the voice of reason, to be the true adjudicator that this community needs. Bigby cannot be truly empathetical with anyone. He can't know what it's like to starve for glamour. He can't know what it's like to be as afraid of him as everyone in the woodlands are. So he is able to view things from an angle that lets him change his world in a small way. Bigby Wolf has that rare quality of being somebody who has been redeemed and yet still has to live as a pariah. The people of Fabletown can warm up to him or stiffen against him stronger than before. We have to remember that when we are walking in his shoes, Bigby is somebody who said yes when help was offered to him.
Not what I was expecting.
This is somebody who was confronted by Snow White and a few others in terms of a peaceful arrangement and employment. Whether or not their intentions were from a different angle are irrelevant. Bigby was approached and acknowledged the fact that he doesn't want to be the big bad wolf anymore. Whether or not it's for the need to fit in with this new world or something much more personal that the game can't completely share and indulge in. We need to understand that Bigby is somebody who has already changed. and knows that his world needs him to be something more, something better.
I'll do better. We'll do better. We have to be better than them, or what's the point?